Welcome back now to our next conversation. Well, with inflation and the rise and so much uncertainty with major economies, insurance industry and premiums are being impacted by all of this. For an assessment now of how the insurance industry has performed in Nigeria in the first half, we have Rashidat Adebisi, Chief Client Officer, AXA Mansard, join us right here in the studio. Great to have you.
Good morning, laddie.
Good morning.
Great
And
to be here.
first of all, congratulations are in order for your recognition as the top 50 women in insurance in Africa.
Yeah, thank
How
you.
does that
Thanks.
feel?
I mean, it's amazing, challenging as well, because it says that you need to do more. But for me, it was such an interesting recognition, being recognized among some Amazons in the insurance industry who were also recognized at the same time. And I haven't spent as much time. So it's definitely very exciting for me.
Quite interesting.
For this.
And
Yeah.
how can we
Super.
do more to get more female, leaders, like you out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple, right? There are lots of researches have been done. Women, when they come in the financial industry at entry level, about the same time, we have equal number of men and women. But along the way, many women drop off. And why? Some of them are facing different challenges. And the organizations haven't created the ecosystem that can support them during those tough periods. Because we find out that when they do make it through, they're more loyal, they're high-performing, and they're able to make significant impact. So organizations like mine, for example, have introduced things like crash facilities before COVID, especially. We had to shut them down during the sanitary situation. But having the crash on ground, helping them through those tough periods, having the right sort of maternity. When I first took my maternity in 2005, those sort of areas, you could only get 90 days in Nigeria, and people felt you've already gone away on leave. So you didn't even need to rest and take an annual leave. But we've changed many of those things in recent time, right? Where you can have your maternity leave, have annual leave to take some time off. And we also give extra time to women to be able to settle in if they're still having challenges. We have a hybrid work system. So things like this could be very supportive. We also find out that some women are not very confident until they have 100% of the skills to apply for a role. But some guys can apply a 40% competency. So creating that environment that encourages them, just giving them that nudge, puts them in that space, and they can do everything that they want to do. So for me, I would say very important not to judge us just by what we look like.
Right.
Give us an opportunity to engage, to consider opportunities that come up even outside town, which many companies also, oh, she's a woman, she won't go there. Judge us by the content of our character, what we know, what we can do, not by what we look like.
Right. Well, women doing incredible things,
Yes.
all around, and we can,
Sure.
see that. But, looking at the first half of 2022, it's been tough, for major economies. We've seen inflation. That one has continued to stay with us. It's become persistent. At this point, we're seeing central bankers, raising rates. How would you assess, the insurance industry, so far?
I mean, the first half of the year, it's very challenging times, as you've mentioned, Ladi, for Nigeria, for the whole world. Things are very complex. When you think about the economy, you think about oil price, you didn't touch on that, and the impact on, even doing business, right? Many of us in our homes could put up the gen for a longer period.
Diesel.
We can close our offices earlier, but health facilities have to keep running. Things have to just happen. So how do we find that balance? So it's definitely been challenging from an economic standpoint. But nevertheless, we've seen improvements in the insurance industry. We're seeing more influx of technology coming in to help improve processes so we can optimize costs. For a company like ours in AXA Mansard, we're trying to reduce those costs so that we can pass on the benefits to clients and they can have better pricing for their solutions, for their healthcare. So things along this way would make a big difference. Insurance penetration is still so low. So many people are not covered. I remind everyone that we're actually the safety net of people around us because we don't have any government social security. When something goes wrong, they call you. They call us and say, look, your wife had a baby, and I wonder which wife, and you're not married. They're just trying to send a message to you here. So why can't we ensure that we put the right, support in by the right policy? Because the insurance company is positioned to do that. That's what we are here for. We can provide that right level of support. So the first half of the year, things are growing. We're seeing more companies coming in, trying to see how they can do things differently. Tech, taking some level of, position. Expensive because it's also foreign currency based. We need a lot of our engineers are leaving the country and emigrating, if you call it the Jackpot community.
Right.
But we still need so much more here. And there are hundreds of millions of Nigerians who are still vulnerable. So there are still things to do, but the industry is very focused. If you think about how we supported the country after the EndSARS, about 11 billion naira in premium and in claims were paid by the Nigerian insurance industry. So people are not seeing enough how we're impacting. So there's so much more work for us to do to create more awareness, to engage, and to ensure that we start to help to prevent people from falling back to where they came from. If you worked so hard to gather assets all your life, and then because of one unfortunate, unexpected event, everything goes, that means you're totally lost and all your dreams are gone. So the insurance industry and our kind of company can help you make a difference in that regard. And so we continue to see this growing as we come into the second half of the year. Right now, I think the last point for me is when you think about inflation and the cost of replacing things,
right,
it's very expensive. So this is the time for you to have insurance, because if you didn't plan to lose your car...
How's that impacting premiums?
Oh, I mean, on a premium perspective, right, it's a bit mixed, because right now in Nigeria, people still believe that God is their insurance. Right. But let me give you an example. If you bought a car at $10,000, you know, just barely 5 years ago, and dollar was maybe around 250, just assuming. So that means it cost you 2.5 million naira. That same car now, if at same $10,000, will cost you about 7 million naira. So if you even depreciate that 7 million naira over that 5 years, your car is worth at least 3.5 million naira. But people will still want to insure their car at 2.5 million naira because that's what I paid for it. But that does not replace the value of your car. So how is it impacting insurance premiums is that we are advising our clients to revise their values up to appropriate replacement values. We're making sure that they're paying their premiums.
And incomes are squeezed too.
Yeah, so we're creating, you know, instrumental payments, for example, come like AXA Mansard, who are creating solutions, working with partners to make sure you can pay monthly, quarterly. We're working with corporate organizations to make it better for them, more, you know, comfortable, and working within their budgets. But sometimes what you need is perhaps maybe a bit expensive, but you could start from the base, just from the step, to say, look, even if what is most important for me is health, let me make sure that I can always go to the doctor without thinking I need to go and find a big bag of money from somewhere, you know, at night, in the morning. Even if you're not at home and your kids, something happens unexpectedly, you want to make sure that someone can take them to the right place, they can get the right intervention, they can be cured, and then they are ready and back to life again. And this is what we can do, and this is what the industry is able to do. So premiums are growing a little bit, but not as much as it could, because we still have a lot of underinsurance happening, because we're not reviewing our values up quickly enough.
And you know, you mentioned, you know, health insurance there.
Yes.
And, you know, we've still had that issue where, you know, some clients say, oh, they take their insurance, you know, to the hospitals and they don't really take them as priority. They would rather take, you know, those paying cash, you know, at that point. How's that being addressed?
That was many more years ago,
right,
you know, when a lot of hospitals didn't appreciate the benefit of HMOs. HMOs create significant cash flows to hospitals. And why? We bring in a lot of clients that ordinarily they might not get. And we give them an assurance of payment. Because sometimes people can bring in a patient and they don't have money, and you say, go and find money, and they don't treat them. And then something terrible happens. And when you think about the doctors take an oath to make sure that they do no harm. Yeah. So that means that sometimes they have to treat people and they never get paid for it. So the HMO will ensure you get paid. So there's no issue of liquidity. You can even plan and invest and take a facility from a bank, because you can show that I have businesses coming from this HMO. So we see more serious hospitals coming up, working with us, partnering with us to make sure that we can, you know, pay them and can get access to our clients. And we're using that to create the right solutions for our clients. But it also depends on your affordability index. Right now, insurance, we compete with food and airtime.
Right.
So this is the reality. You have to eat first. But what if you're not healthy? You know, you won't even be able to eat or find a way to create money and be able to feed your family.
But you're also, you know, putting out ways that, you know, affordability.
Oh, yes,
you know.
yes. We have some amazing, like in AXA Mansard, for example, we have a few initiatives where we call on the emerging customer side. This is to the middle, low income space, just to put your first step into healthcare. We have a malaria insurance policy, for example, that costs as low as 500 naira a month. And we also have policies that can help you at least get access to speak to a doctor, telemedicine. Which is quite affordable. You can go to the pharmacy, you can get the right drugs, so they don't even sell you fake drugs. So those sort of things are available already to just set you in there to see how we can help. But you can actually get a very decent policy for 5,000 naira a month. And people go and eat a meal in a restaurant and they spend more than 5,000 naira a month. So imagine 5,000 naira to take care of yourself, to make sure that not just if you're ill, you can actually do preventive measures as well. Take a health check your numbers, know where you are. Because many things can actually be avoided if you've actually, you know, done some level of test ahead, you know that you have high blood pressure, and you're taking the right drugs, then you can live a fulfilling, fantastic life.
And recently, I read about an issue with insurance companies that were giving out multi-business insurance. You know, most of the inflation really impacted, you know, that sector. Lord, tell us about that.
So if you're referring to the point around, you know, is that third-party insurance
Exactly.
policies?
There were many claims.
The reality is this: third-party insurance policy has a 5,000 naira for the last 17 years. I've known, at least from my own view, and I don't think that's the right price anyway. But it covers a limited amount of risk. But at least it makes sure that it's a third-party liability. So if you have a third-party policy as an individual, it doesn't cover any damage to your vehicle. It covers you damage to other people's vehicle, maybe up to 1 million or 2 million in property damage. So those sort of policies are in place. But what we found out that some people aren't selling them even at the right price. Some people are buying, you know, what they call police let me go, which means it's just somebody collecting a very small amount of money from you,
Right.
and there's really no cover behind it. So you can buy fantastic third-party policy from our website, from people, salespeople from our company, even the NIA, the Nigerian Insurance Association. They have a platform where you can access at least real registered, original, you know, well-vetted companies. So you don't need to necessarily buy it from the wrong place on the roadside. So some of those guys were buying policies on the roadside for companies that don't exist. So when something happens, there's no claim to be paid. So this is sort of the situation that we've seen happen in the market before. Yeah.
Well, but these are quite interesting times, you know.
Sure.
Central bankers tightening rates. We're seeing emerging economies, their currencies, you know, struggling at this time. We're seeing what's happening, you know, with the naira inflation. But do you have tailored policies for times like these?
Oh, yes. The time when you need an insurer most is when things are even most uncertain, because you're not really sure and you want to plan. If you have savings in the bank and an unexpected event happens and you use the money, then you don't have it anymore. But yeah, if you have an insurance policy, it addresses that issue and you still have lots of your money still left over. So people don't see this. So when it comes to us, AXA Mansard, we're a very unique and, you know, well-placed, full-scale non-banking financial institution. So when you start from a mental and physical wellness side, from our health insurance, we're able to help our clients in this space. And why? If you're not physically and mentally well, you can't pursue your life's ambition, you can't do anything. So we have life insurance, we have health insurance products that helps you as an individual, as a corporate organization. We also have interesting policies for SMEs that is more flexible for them because, you know, they're trying to manage their cash flows and we're very flexible. We can work with them in that regard. When you come to being healthy and you're now making money and you're acquiring assets, then you have a car, you have a home. We have our, you know, general insurance, our P&C products that help you protect the car. Like we talked about, your car, 2.5, 3.5. Something happens, it means you need to go and look for 7 million to buy that car in the same state you bought it 5 years ago. At least you won't start from ground zero. And if you've actually raised the price of your insurance policy, your replacement value up to the right level, then you probably just find a little amount, add to it. We want to make sure you're back to where you were before and not back to where you were maybe 10 years ago.
And I'm sure you would have something for presenters,
oh,
you know.
But
like,
of course, I think
myself.
I've already asked you already.
Right.
Beyond compulsory insurances, I think there are life policies for yourself personally, even if you don't have kids yet. If you do have, there are also education policies to plan. One thing we don't do so well in this country is plan.
Yeah.
I don't think we've been told, work hard, you get money and you pay for your bills. But in many companies, many countries I've seen that just learning that discipline of putting something away for a future amount that is almost known. Of course, we can adjust it for inflation and devaluation, means that you have some money to pay for your child's education in the future when that time comes. And then, of course, lastly, when you think about group life policies, we're very supportive. And on the asset management side, which we have, we're able to tailor, you know, fantastic. We have one of the best money market funds in Nigeria, so please check it out.
Oh, I'll
you
check
can
it
also
out,
buy it on the
definitely.
website, monitor it. We have solutions that can help our clients in that respect. We also offer telemedicine. So right now, if you want to just take a quick break and speak to a doctor, you could call a doctor, have a chat without having to go and drive, go to the hospital, and you can actually have your medicine or any drugs prescribed to you, delivered to you wherever you are as well with some of our partners, or pick it up at the nearest pharmacy near you.
Quite
so these are really exciting things
Quite a
we
lot
have.
you guys, you know, have. But, you know, looking
Sure.
at the industry now, what are you seeing, you know, going forward?
I mean, going forward, everyone can see the opportunity. We have the new health bill that's been passed. Even in the general and life insurance space, we see that people are really getting more aware. We're creating lots of education. We're working with the government because every time you have a fire, I usually give this example. If in California, you see 100 billion insurance claims being paid, but when you come to Yeah, but when you come to Nigeria, you hear the government has contributed money.
Right.
That's what we tend to hear all the time. So insurance companies can be that bridge. The government doesn't have funds to give everyone. So
Right.
if you've already insured, it means that we can actually help. So the industry is doing a lot. We're strengthening. Capital is very important. So when you want to pick an insurance company, you want to make sure they have the right capitalization, they have the right strength. Don't pick them just because they're your friend alone.
Exactly.
This is very
Exactly.
important.
Well, so much to pack there. It's an industry that's, you guys are doing a lot,
Yeah.
for that industry, and it's quite interesting, and it's actually great, having you give us most of that insight at this time.
Sure.
Thank you so much. That was Rashidat Adebisi, Chief Client Officer, AXA Mansard. It was great having you.
All right. Take care.